I wanted to talk about levels of motivators. Levels. Okay, and there's three, which they differ between the stars, the sun, and the moon. All right, the stars, moon, and and the sun. Okay, so the first motivator and the first level is fear. You know, I know that people think that fear is always bad, but I'm gonna tell y'all, fear is survival. Okay, so basically, it's just I think it's just like an alarm of urgency. Okay, it is a great motivator to get you to change or like, be quick about the change. Okay. Then there's the second motivator, second level, which is should. People do things because they feel like they should, you know. Third motivator is love. Now, all these different levels in life, depending on what subject or what area, is good. Okay. And religion, what I found out is religion, it's an umbrella of the two other levels, which is the fear and the should. Now, you can still embrace religion on the third level, which is love, but it's like it becomes the letter of the law when it's on the two levels, but then it becomes the spirit of the law when you hit the third level of the motivator of doing the things, why you do the things that you do. So pretty much like every decision that everybody makes, there's a motivator, and which one do you fall under? In what area? So everybody falls in different areas in all life. So, the first level is the weakness. Like it's where people are just beginning to, work on that certain thing that they're trying to work on. Okay, so here's certain subjects. Okay, let's say you're working on your health. Okay, and the first one would be fear, where you'd be like, I can't, like, I have to have a pristine diet where I can't drink alcohol because I'm afraid that if I drink alcohol, because I've seen, somebody turn like an alcoholic, and I've seen the damage that it has caused. Like, I don't want to be an alcoholic, so they don't ever drink alcohol. But the fear is the motivator. Okay. But then what happens is they could go to the next level with, if they're taking care of their health, and they say, I should have water. I should do this. I should do that. And that's more of like an expectation where it's like they want to be, they feel like they're doing things because they feel like they should. But then the third level kicks in, but that kicks in naturally because what happens is then you start to love the good and you start to desire the good. And then that's the freedom right there, and it's the joy because it's no longer the chore, but it's just like the great the benefits. It's like all the benefits. You know what I mean? So it's like, just, enlightenment or whatever people want to say. If you, in every aspect of your life, and you turn all your weaknesses into that third level where you're like completely, you're enjoying good, like in all aspects of life. Like you enjoy eating healthy. You enjoy just being like a really nice person to everybody. You enjoy like, love and sacrifice and doing things for people because it just makes you happy, and that's it. There's no other reason. And it just becomes a part of you. That's where the freedom is. Okay, but it takes a long time but all the process is good though. So anyway, that's what it is. Okay, let's look at another subject though and break it down. Okay. So we talked about the health thing. Okay, let's talk about doing nice things for people. Okay. So then maybe someone would come up with, they would be in fear and they're doing nice things for someone because they don't want to lose them. They're afraid of abandonment. So they have abandonment, they have rejection, they have those kind of issues, so it's out of fear instead. Okay, so it works for a little bit, but then what they discover is that, they might have like codependent relationships, and it just seems like people are abandoning them because, their worst fear is starting to come true, and they start to become exhausted. But either way, though, it's still, it's okay. It still has its place, okay? Then people, they're nice to people because they feel like they should. They're like, well, I'm a part of this organization, and they say that be good to your neighbors. So it's like, okay, I should do that. And I should deliver this to somebody, bring them a pineapple upside down cake, make it for this, this person I don't know, in the neighborhood, because it's what I should do. I mean, but then at the same time, they're kind of grudging it a little bit. They're just like, I should do it. I should. But the cool thing is they still reap the benefits, because what happens is then they could do that and they could feel good. They're like, wait, what's happening? I'm actually feeling good now. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's something to this. So then it leaves the opportunity where it becomes like they start to crave it. They're like, oh, okay, I gave a pineapple upside down cake to this neighbor. I'm going to help this neighbor out with their roof, because I don't know, I was feeling good the last time I did something nice for somebody. So I think I'm going to go help them with their roof. Bam. Then all of a sudden, it's like they start to enjoy it, and it becomes who they are. It just becomes a part of them. So then that's the freedom. Another reason why people do the things they do. Well, I'm trying to think of another subject. So we talked about health, doing good for other people. Let's talk about honesty. Okay. So there's people that will, be an honest person out of fear because they're afraid that they're going to get caught for being a liar or whatever like that. So it's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, let's say they're young and, they're afraid that, oh my gosh, my mom's going to catch on. Like, if I lie and, I go to this party, even though she told me not to, then like, oh my gosh, I'm just so afraid. So I better not. Okay. But then there's the should, where it's like, I should be honest. It is better to do that, and that could be just because, their parents are teaching them that's what they should do. So they feel like that's what they should do. But then all of a sudden they just realize, like, you know what? It just seems like life is a lot easier when I just tell the truth. It just seems like everything works out, And so then they just love it. And then it just becomes who they are. It just becomes who they are. Okay. So I guess those are the three. I mean, look, the list goes on and on. I mean, pretty much everything in life, everything could be broken down by those two levels of motivators of why they're doing what they're doing in life. So I think it's pretty cool, because then like people can really start assessing and analyzing, and I'm doing that too, like looking within ourselves and just saying, okay, so I'm doing this out of fear. And then when you start to recognize that, then you start, peeling the layers and, just trying to figure out, okay, why am I doing this out of fear? And stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, that's the thing about the religion. So here is the ticket right here. So it doesn't make any sense then if those levels were all necessary to get you to the third level of where you are, you're free, you're happy, you're just like loving life, because it's just like all of it. So it's just because it's good and it's for your highest good. Why is it that anybody needs to look down at those other levels? It's not necessary. So when people look down at religion and they say, oh my gosh, religion, who needs religion? Like, religion is necessary. Even though, I mean, there are some, scary religions out there. Like, have y'all heard about the speech about the hands of an angry God, where he like freaked him out so much? Like, that is just like, that's like a really sad story. That really did happen. It was like a sermon. It was like really intense. But, you'll see that like in religion, that it's the motivator's fear. But it's like, I guess it's just where they're energetically at. People that are going to a church that is preaching, but it's more out of fear. It's like they're not ready to be free yet. You know what I mean? And if they're not ready to be free, that's okay. You know, can you imagine how insensitive it would be if there was like a dog that was like locked up all of its life, and then you open the cage and the dog doesn't get out, but you judge the dog and just say, oh my gosh, why aren't you stepping into the grass? And you don't have patience, okay, for that dog. Because that does happen, you know, where it's like they free animals, and then the animals, it takes a while for them to get used to their freedom. So, you know, why get mad at other people, or well, look down at other people that are still motivated by fear? You know what I mean? It's just where they're at, you know? So people that are motivated by that, it's like they don't trust themselves yet. They haven't got to that place yet. You know, eventually they will. But here's the thing though. Everybody that's on the third level, so if you're at the top of that staircase or whatever, as far as like in that certain subject, just know though, there was a step 1. There was a level 1. You began that way. Okay. So everybody, like, you know, like, okay, for example, if you have kids, right? And your kid is like running across the street. Are you going to seriously like talk to them and say, don't run across the street? No. Okay, they're at that age right there where you would probably yell and say, don't cross the street. You're probably going to be, you know, I mean, I would. I'm not going to sit there and like, you know, just say, don't run across the street, because that's like a chance you can't take. I mean, if they get hit by the car, you know, that's just like not a chance that you will want to take. Okay. So it's the same thing. And I do feel like, you know, people, it's like the Bible is still the same. But depending on where you're at spiritually, you're going to interpret it different depending on where you're at in your life and what you need to hear. So basically, if you feel like when you're reading the Bible, you feel like God's like yelling, it's just where you're at. You know, it's like that's what you need. Like, you know, but somebody else that reads the Bible, they're going to read, they're drawn more to the verses that talk about love. They're not motivated by the fear. So it doesn't mean that, you know, the Bible is completely should be discounted either, just because the Bible is like a love letter and it's addressed to everybody. Okay. But within that love letter, it's different. There, he, you know, it's speaking to people in different ways, just depending on where they're at, you know, like for example, if you are a parent and you have, you know, 3 different kids, you'll know that they are different. You know, there's one that likes to get up in the cabinets. He likes to just like, you know, start throwing things around. So you're going to talk to him a little bit different. It's not because you love them less, but you're going to talk to him more on the fear base, like saying, hey, don't get up on the counter. Versus the other one that's just like sitting there, you know, it's just like chilling or just like not creating a lot of, you know, not throwing stuff around, and they're behaving a little bit better, you know? So, I mean, you know, each person's very unique. It's just all of it's beautiful. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, but just realize too that, you know, I think you're only a spiritual evolved person if you don't know that you're a spiritual evolved person. If you think you're a spiritual evolved person and you're one of those people that like to say, oh my gosh, that person has so many issues, and you separate yourself from the lesser levels as you think you are doing, just know that you're not spiritually evolved. Because anybody, if you're doing things out of love, then pretty much people's issues don't bother you anymore. You're not triggered. But you only are triggered with people that do things that are irritating, that are under the fear level. It's just because you yourself haven't dealt with that. I'm learning that too, because I do. Like, I have judged people that do things out of fear. Like, I mean, to me, like, that is irritating as hell. But I've learned, like, wait a minute, like, why am I, like, you know, looking down at this person, or I won't even say really looking down. I just get irritated. But then I have to self-evaluate myself and say, well, why does this trigger me? Is it because I haven't myself cleared that up? Because if you are in that state of love, nobody bothers you. Nobody triggers you. You freaking love everybody, and you see their shortcomings, but you just don't care. Okay? So if you think you're a spiritually evolved person, just know that you're not. And if you're not aware, if you don't if you're if you if you're looking at everybody else and you can see their highest good, then that means that you yourself are closer to your highest good too. So that's all I want to say. Levels, levels. So religion is necessary. It is a beautiful thing. It is a schoolmaster. It is the tool. It is one of the tools to get people to the level 3. Okay. Take care.